This is an Audio Wool original.
This episode of Frightday is brought to you by Spring Heel Jack Coffee. You need great coffee. Jack delivers. Visit springheeljack.coffee.
Hey guys, thanks for listening. If you'd like to support us, go to patreon.com/frightday.
All right, this is getting weird. I don't like it.
Okay.
It's making me uncomfortable. I don't want to talk about our
I love making
I don't want to
you
talk about our
uncomfortable. It's one of my
therapist anymore. We don't need to talk about it.
favorite things.
All right.
God, it is so great making you uncomfortable.
Jesus Christ.
Favorite pastime.
I gave my dad a high five the other day, finally.
What?
Are you touching your family now that the COVID's gone?
I've been hugging my family since all of us had vaccines.
Oh.
So what you're telling me is you've just used it as an excuse not to, and you've continued to.
Continue not touching people.
That's amazing. I'm a psycho with how cautious I am about it. So, like, if you're not doing it, but I am,
Yeah.
there is something fishy afoot.
But it is Frightday. I'm your host, Byron. And old people are forgetful, dull, and smell weird. Those are just a few of the unfortunate stereotypes attributed to our elders.
Jesus Christ.
Now, of course, most of our fantastic listeners would never feel that way. But to the ones who might, I should let you know, someday you'll be old. And how compassionate will the youths be then? We'll talk about that. And the agony of aging as we review George A. Romero's The Amusement Park. And Sam can't make it because it's past his old ass's bedtime.
You know, Sam is always related to old people more than your average.
He doesn't
human.
turn in early, does he?
Yes, actually, you're making a joke out of it, but I guarantee you he's either in bed or almost in bed.
It's not even dark outside.
Correct.
Impressive, honestly. I think our state decided not to do daylight savings time. What does that mean for us?
Wait, no, they didn't.
I think
Did
so.
they?
Yeah. So,
We're just Arizona now?
you know, we have a couple things in common with the great state of Arizona.
I don't feel like this is a good thing. I don't think it's a good thing.
Not thrilled, but the solstice coming up, the sun is out.
Sun's out, guns out?
Listen, put your guns away. Things aren't good right now.
You don't like guns?
There's a
I don't
lot
like
of
guns either.
significant
Truth be told.
amount of mass shootings going on. We don't need to talk about that.
Oh my God. Yeah. Have you ever had that conversation with
About guns with our therapist whose name I
No,
just
about
out?
school shootings.
No.
Or not just school shootings, any kind of shootings.
Does this seem like something we should be talking about right now?
Well, I'm just saying there's like this really terrifying theory about like the threshold, the amount it takes for the first person to commit this horrible crime, mass shooting, is really high. Like that's a high bar to meet. But with each person that does it, it becomes exponentially more psychologically accessible to people.
Sure.
And more people, like it's basically a fucking terrifying snowball and it's not stopping and it's really scary.
Yeah, I gotta tell you, I don't know when that would come up in conversation with the therapist where I'm trying to become a more mentally healthy person, but
Well, because you need to be aware of what's going on.
sure. What's going on with you, Kelly?
Oh, Jiminy Christmas, what's going on? Bought a camper.
Excuse me?
Bought a camper.
Oh,
Travel trailer.
well, that's kind of fun. What are you gonna do with it?
I'm going to sleep in it.
Okay.
Here's the problem. Okay, I've discovered two things in the last week, Byron. One is that with the exception of like a couple brands that are way too expensive for us to buy, every travel trailer has horrible, ugly, medium-colored wood and gross prints on the fabric. And, like, the one we bought is really, really nice. Like, it's been slept in, like, 10 nights. It's in great shape. But it's fugly. So, of course, what would any self-respecting 30-something mother do but jump onto Pinterest and begin searching for renovations of travel trailers?
Travel trailers, all right.
Do you know who has a corner on that market?
Would I know?
Stay-at-home Mormon wives.
Of course.
Like, you should see the shit that they have done to travel trailers. I have been in awe
So what's the point of this? Are you trying to sell your house and live in a compound or what? What's going on?
No, not yet. Although if Russell Brand starts a cult, I'm in.
My God. We are the leaders of a cult. You cannot join another one.
Okay, well, guess what? We've got to model something. So we've got to do some fucking R&D.
Well, I guarantee you I will never be in a movie called Get Him to the Greek.
Well, I don't think he's ever going to be in that movie again either. So it's okay. We're all on the same page. He is such a good human. Do you know he is like literally genius level?
I love that you are just now discovering Russell Brand.
No, I've known about him for a very long time. I'm just circling back around to really enjoying him again.
Wow. I'm glad.
Anyhow, he's great. But the point is, the travel trailer is so that we can stay out of town.
At the bunker property.
On our little spot of land by a lake is the plan.
I don't like where any of this is going. I
have a shower and a toilet.
Are you buying food buckets? Are you burying guns? What's going on?
No, actually, like Sam's really moving in the other direction from that. So no.
What does that mean? He's digging up guns or what?
I am like finding ways that you can paint everything white, and I'm finding shops on Etsy that will cover all those cushions for you. But yeah, anybody who's in the market to remodel their camper, just get on Pinterest and look at those Mormon housewives. They have done magical things. So that's what I've been up to.
Crazy.
Watching a really sad movie that Byron made me watch.
This was not my choice. This was the folks over at cult.frightday.com or patreon.com/Frightday. They selected this week's movie.
Yeah, I feel like they could have thrown me a bit of a bone.
I think we'll talk about it in a bit, but Kelly, I lost us a long-time listener, and I'm really sorry.
What? How who?
Really
and how
sorry.
the fuck did you do that?
Well, I opened up this week's Twitch stream, which I do every Friday.
Okay.
I did start it by saying, "Hello, Patriots. It's me. It is Frightday," which wasn't the wisest choice, but it was in jest. And the first clip I played was of
oh boy.
You know those types of people who dance with like fire, but in like a fun, like new agey hippie kind of way?
Are you talking? I guess the only context in which I've seen that is
Russell Brand forgetting Sarah Marshall.
Hawaiian indigenous dancers.
Well, I mean, if it is that, it's totally appropriated. But this is just a white woman in her bedroom with a poster, a Rammstein poster behind her. No, Slipknot poster, pardon me. And heavily filtered video where she was also wearing an InfoWars t-shirt, and the video was titled "We Are Alex Jones," so we watched her dance.
So you got us kicked off of Twitch now?
I was just goofing around, and well, I did say that the music that she was listening to was probably some borderline neo-Nazi Daft Punk, and someone accused me of calling her a neo-Nazi just because she listens to Alex Jones, and I had to remind him. All I was saying is that this girl was dancing to music that was probably some borderline neo-Nazi Daft Punk, but I was sure to inform him of the pretty awful person that Alex Jones is, and I...
Who was the listener?
I'm not going to say... I don't need to give you the name. But if you want to talk about stuff like that, discord.frightday.com and Byron's Brain channel. Well, we've been talking about Alex Jones quite a bit because he's been popping up in the news. Some sort of resurfacing of a clip of him on the date of the insurrection went viral, and we in the group... Oh my gosh.
How'd you like that sneeze?
Sounds like you're allergic to right-wing extremists.
How did you know that? I've never even told you that.
Well, Kelly, I am actually a holistic doctor. I have a certificate.
That explains things.
That's been my week. You know, same old bee not digging himself into a dark pit.
Well, I'm glad you're not digging yourself into a dark pit. I'm glad that you stood up for all that is right and just in the world.
Thank you.
I feel like that was a good choice, Byron. Sometimes I question your choices. I like that one.
Well, good. And if you're looking to learn more about Alex Jones, if you think he's just a lovable goofball, I recommend you listen to Knowledge Fight.
I recommend you pull your head out of your ass if you think he's just a lovable goofball.
Aggressive, Kelly. And listen, you can't talk like that.
No, I just did.
I need you to take this DVD stack of Mona Lisa Smile because they're not going to put themselves away.
No, I fucking hate Julia Roberts.
It's time for staff picks.
They say so much, but they never tell you if it's any good.
Werewolf movie with E.T.'s mom in it?
The Howling, horror, straight ahead.
I actually don't really hate her that much. She just annoys me.
Why is that?
I don't know that I can really put a finger on it. Like when I say Julia Roberts annoys me, the thing that flashes through my brain is that ginormous laugh when Richard Gere in Pretty Woman opens up that ring box and then like snaps it closed in front of her, or necklace box or whatever it is. Like, that's what I picture when I think about how annoying I think she's.
In 2009.
But then I also, like, I
That's
go
plenty.
to
We really can't.
Ocean's 11. I like
keep-
Ocean's 11.
We gotta cut
Maybe
that.
she doesn't suck. I probably need to be nicer to her. I take it back.
You should.
But I don't take it back about Alex Jones.
In 2009, film came out, one that rattled me, horrified me, and justified my fear of the elderly. It's one of my favorite found footage films, but it's strange because more often than not, I leave it out of conversations and lists of found footage films. And I think it's because it's so much more than that.
Really?
Yeah. It's an experiment. I am. It's an experimental black comedy horror film called Trash Humpers.
Just any old car.
See, what people don't understand is that we choose to live like free people. Three little devils jumped over the wall. La 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 dee da da. Three little devils jumped over the wall, lopped off his head, and murdered it all. And I lopped it by doodle da day.
That's not a fucking real movie.
It's a real film. A film unearthed from the buried landscape of the American nightmare. Trash Humpers follows a group of elderly peeping Toms through the shadows and margins of an unfamiliar world. The participants themselves, as true sociopaths, crudely document their debased and shocking actions. So this is one of the most grating, unnerving experiences I've had watching films. I think you know the director, Kelly.
Who?
And I've certainly talked about this film before. How do I want to say this? Where do I want to start?
Oh, God, I'm worried. Where are you going with this? Oh, God.
In 2012, he did a little James Franco flick called Spring Breakers.
Oh, Hermionals?
What?
What's this man's actual name? It's the guy that did Kids, right?
Yeah, Harmony Korine.
Hermionals.
Sure.
Is the way. That's how I refer to him.
Gummo, Julian Donkey Boy, Mr. Lonely.
Oh my God, did you see that there's like a new documentary about how exploitive Kids was?
Oh no, I didn't know. I didn't.
Yeah, I was reading about this the other day. I think somebody subscribed me to Rolling Stone magazine. I don't know who, but
Weird.
I'm getting Rolling Stone now, and there was an article in it about it.
Larry Clark directed it, and it was written by Harmony Korine. But
whatever.
I fucking love this movie. It is bizarre. It makes me feel awful. It's borderline unwatchable, but at the same time, you can't look away.
Well, maybe you just shouldn't start, which is exactly why this is a terrible fucking recommendation.
It's literally like the closest to if you found a tape, it's just chaos. And it's so much so that it's something that you would like most certainly like take to the police if it's degraded, horrifying. So it does star Harmony Korine and his wife and this guy named Brian Coetzee and Travis Nicholson. And their characters, they wear these like horrifying old people masks and speak in these really high-pitched kind of spooky, weird voices.
Why?
It's just the vibe. It's basically the opposite of the film that we're covering tonight, The Amusement Park.
Made to make you hate them?
Elderly people, yes. You're supposed to be disgusted and afraid. And in the amusement park, we're supposed to feel sympathetic and understand the plights of the American old.
That's amazing.
Pure chaos. Can't recommend it enough. Trash Humpers.
Wow. Well, I've got a much better movie. Luckily, guys, this one you actually can watch. It's an interesting movie because in many ways I would argue that it is the foundational film to I Know What You Did Last Summer.
Oh. Okay.
But it's like geriatric version. This was one of those that I watched when I was young that scared the living shnikes out of me. I haven't watched it in years, but after watching this movie this week, I decided that I needed, not wanting to spoil things terribly, but I needed a movie that made me feel less sad about old people.
Okay.
Because this movie helps you feel less sad about old people. And ironically, it has such a run-of-the-mill name that I don't know how many other movies there are named this, but this is the one you want to watch. Ghost Story from 1981.
Long ago, on a cold, dark night, in this peaceful New England village, something happened. Something too terrifying to remember. Something too frightening to forget. Something that has remained a secret until now.
Is anyone else seeing things? Am I the only one having nightmares?
Universal Pictures presents Fred Astaire, Melvin Douglas, Douglas Fairbanks Jr., John Houseman, Ghost Story, from the terrifying best-selling novel by Peter Straub.
Who's this? He's found a picture of her. That's not possible.
The girl, the men, the evil, silence.
Dad, I'm telling you, something happened. I'm telling you something. I think he may have been murdered.
Not to be confused with A Ghost Story from 2017.
Or Ghost Stories.
This is Ghost Story. So it's about these 4 dudes who get together and have for a very long time the Chowder Society. It's basically like 4 rich old white males.
Like a
but what's
dinner
cool
club?
is Fred Astaire is in it, and it was his last movie to the best of my knowledge.
Oh, wow.
Like Douglas Fairbanks Jr., who Byron, I'm sure you've never heard of, but like
Never.
old school glamour leading feller. All the old movie posters of like swashbucklers and what have you.
That was him.
It was him.
Okay.
And it was one of his last movies. Melvin Douglas. I don't know if there's a relation to the rest of the Douglas family.
Like Kurt?
Yeah, any of them, because there are quite a few of them. But it was his last movie. John Houseman is the 4th of these Chowder Society fellers.
Sure.
I'm trying to think what you might know him from. He was in The Fog. The original, of course.
I wouldn't know anyone in The Fog, really, even.
Oh, really? Well, that's
Yeah.
unfortunate for you.
I'm sorry.
but-
What are these old people up to?
These old people get together and they tell these ghost stories, and it's like this super long-standing tradition. But then they encounter a ghost story of their own. Some horrible deed they committed forever ago
Comes back, haunts
comes
them.
back to haunt them.
Literally.
Yes. It's super fun. Also, I love the poster.
Oh, yeah, it's very minimal. I like it.
Yeah, isn't it cool?
Yeah, that
it's
is
super
cool.
cool. It's a great flick. I highly recommend to everybody. Because I haven't watched it in forever, I guarantee you there's going to be some super mega Me Too involved in it. I mean, well,
Yeah.
not to spoil anything, but just watch it.
Cool.
Real interesting flickaroo.
Oh, would you look at that? Closing time already. Sorry about my movie, Kelly.
That's okay. Mine was really good, wasn't it?
Well, I forgot.
You didn't think I had one, did you? You were
I-
thinking that I was just coming completely unprepared, didn't you?
No, I mean, I usually assume, but never surprised. I'm sorry that you're just not cultured enough to understand my selection. You're just not a big fan of avant-garde filmmaking.
I love avant-garde filmmaking. I don't like disgusting avant-garde
All right, well,
filmmaking.
check it out.
Like I would call our movie tonight semi-avant-garde for the time, wouldn't you?
I guess so. Huh. Too bad we can't segue that into into the segment.
I know.
Yeah.
Wait, but aren't we doing that this week now?
Well, I guess we could start now. Yeah.
Let's split hairs.
And wow, we're just jumping.
trade
into
of
it.
all jacks.
All right, and review George A. Romero's The Amusement Park.
We hope you're enjoying your visit here this evening. Now, on with the show.
The Amusement Park is a 1973 American PSA film directed and edited by George A. Romero from a screenplay by Wally Cook. An elderly gentleman goes for what he assumes will be an ordinary day at the amusement park, only to find himself in the middle of a hellish nightmare. George Andrew Romero. I believe this must be the first George Romero film we've ever done. Born February 4th, 1940, he found massive success in 1968 with his film Night of the Living Dead. It's a cultural touchstone. It gave us the modern zombie as well as a pretty brilliant commentary on society. The films that followed, though, weren't as well received as his first. There's Always Vanilla from 1971, which I don't know a dang thing about, and Season of the Witch from 1972. Both of them didn't perform as well as expected, and this kind of stalled his career.
So he decided to do work for the Lutheran Church?
Exactly. This is the first and only instance of his work-for-hire career.
So
he was
weird.
approached by the Lutheran Service Society of Western Pennsylvania, who wanted him to make an educational film. The intention of the film was to highlight society's poor treatment of the elderly and ageism. The Amusement Park. It was shot in 3 days on a budget of $37,000. It was filmed at a now shuttered theme park called Westview Park in Westview, Pennsylvania. What are you typing so much? Are you doing emails?
No.
Are you sure? You lying to me?
I'm 100% sure.
Okay.
I might be making notes about moon stuff.
All right. Well, pay attention to the film review part for
I'm
me.
paying attention.
It wasn't really meant to be a film so much as it was a PSA. And at the end of the day, it was so disturbing that the Lutheran Society decided not to release it.
Can we talk about that for a second?
Sure.
What the fuck did they find so completely objectionable about this?
Well, Kelly, you think like any church would put out a film like that with the intention of teaching people not to treat the elderly poor? This is like, I don't know, man. I mean, we will talk about it. It just seemed a little over the top. Like they could have gotten the examples across in ways that weren't disturbing.
Yeah. Here's the thing. It's sad. It's depressing. It's grim. But like, this is a straight up PG. And they were asking a horror filmmaker to do a movie about how terribly we treat elderly people.
I don't know if we could I don't know if we could call him a horror director at that point though. Like,
oh yes, you could.
No,
are you kidding me?
His first film was Night of the Living Dead. His next was There's Always Vanilla, which is a drama romance.
Season of the Witch, The Crazies.
Well, but The Crazies came after this project, and The Crazies it's fine. I do like the Oliphant version better.
Are you sure? Because The Crazies was released in 73.
He did this after the first two movies. I read it, and there's a great Den of Geek article that covered the whole process.
Okay, I'll trust you, because I did not read that article, so I will trust you.
They do make it seem as if this came after his first three movies, but that's not, to my knowledge, accurate.
Okay.
And also, Kelly, after The Crazies, he did a series of sports documentaries called The Winners and an O.J. Simpson documentary called Juice on the Loose.
Such an absolutely prophetic title.
Yeah, well, yes, absolutely. This was all before he solidified himself on the Mount Rushmore of horror with films like Martin, Dawn of the Dead, Creepshow, Day of the Dead, Monkey Shines, and so on. I don't know. I think that this was a really interesting film. The whole process of getting it restored was also pretty cool. This is a 4K digital restoration.
And they had just found it, right? Like, tell me the story of that.
I don't know. That's kind of the mythy version. But apparently his wife, Suzanne Desrochers Romero, she had it the whole time. She just assumed that it was just a project that didn't work, and they shelved it, and she never, brought it out.
She never thought that people would be jumping up and down to see a posthumous Romero movie?
Uh-oh, Byron's popping in. Something must have gone wrong. And, I mean, it kind of did. Sorry, I'm eating popcorn. I got my facts a little wrong about how George and Suzanne got a copy of The Amusement Park in 2017. I watched a panel from Shudder called Reviving Romero's The Amusement Park, led by Sam Zimmerman at Shudder. And Suzanne explains it. I'll just play that clip.
And in 2017, a friend of ours and the programmer for the Torino Film Festival gave me a 16 millimeter print and a DVD. And George and I, about 6 weeks before he passed, we saw the film. And it was an extraordinary 51 minutes. And I just thought, oh my God, why haven't we ever heard of this film? And he was, it's nothing. It was nothing. But it really is extraordinary. It's an ugly film. It's a scary film. It's a disturbing film. It's almost documentary, and it's got the social commentary that we're also used to seeing Romero have. And it's though he thought nothing much of it, we disagree. And as the founder of the foundation, I figured that this would be our first project.
There you go. Little clarification. And speaking of the foundation, back to the show. It was restored on behalf of the estate of George Romero with the support of the George A. Romero Foundation.
What does that foundation fund?
It was founded by his third wife, the woman I was just talking about, and his daughter Tina is vice president, and then there's folks like Greg Nicotero, Dario Argento, Lamberto Bava, Malcolm McDowell, Galen Ross, and Tom Zavini on the advisory board.
One hell of an advisory board. I want to go to that
Pretty
board
incredible.
meeting.
I definitely left out names of people I don't know or know little about, but yeah, it's pretty incredible. The GARF is dedicated to honoring the life, work, and cultural influence of George A. Romero, preserving legacy and empowering independent filmmakers. And they do this in several different ways. They've created the Horror Studies Center, partnering with the University of Pittsburgh. They have filmmaking scholarships, and one of their bigger projects was actually restoring this film. Interest grew after a 16mm print was screened at the Torino Film Festival.
Ooh, in Italia?
I'm not sure where, but it was part of a Romero retrospective. And then after that, it had its official premiere in Pittsburgh, October 12th of 2019. February 2021, it was announced that Shudder had acquired the streaming distribution rights for the film in North America, UK, Ireland, Australia, and New Zealand. And it was released on Shudder just a couple days ago, June 8th, 2021. So it's definitely an interesting little film. And, it's a treat for most horror fans and specifically fans of George Romero. Where do you want to start? Do you want to start with Lincoln Marzel?
Yeah, well, so this guy, he commanded some serious attention right up front. I was into it. I was listening to what he had to say, and I was guilty and shamed before the actual movie even began.
Hello there. My name is Lincoln Marzel. On my next birthday, I'll be 71 years of age. I'm an actor. I'm working. I have a family. Despite the many problems and frustrations of the world as it is today, no one will deny that there is still a basic fulfillment which is drawn from living, being active, and contributing. There is a joy to life available to those who can interact with nature, with their fellow man. Unfortunately, this interaction is denied to many groups for many reasons. Levels of income, environmental deprivation, geographical accident. Perhaps the saddest cause of denial and rejection is, very simply, old age.
Yeah, he just turned 71. He's discussing factors that cause societal denial and rejection.
Okay, so I have a question, though. He was in Martin, which Romero would make a few years later. What was Romero's connection with him before he made this?
I don't know. I guess they were probably buddies. He was very well connected within the Pennsylvania film community. I wonder if that's how they...
Do you know he lived to be 106 years old?
6 years old. That's wild. New York, an actor in only this and Martin.
3 movies.
What was the third? I've got 2 here. Martin and Amusement Park.
TV series, I guess.
Wow. I don't know how they connected.
He was a really good actor. He must have just really committed himself to the stage, because I thought he was quite good in this. I don't know if you agree or disagree, but...
No, I do agree. So what he does in this is he comes out and kind of explains the premise of the film and discusses a little bit about ageism, loneliness, failing health, inadequate medical care and transportation, improper housing, nutrition, and lack of money, but most seriously, the lack of compassion and supportive services from younger members of society. So that kind of tells you what the intention of this is to change change your mind and your view of the elderly, which is very difficult to me because their skin is so thin. It freaks me out, okay?
Oh my God.
I don't like it.
You're such a psychopath. So by the time this was over, I was like, okay, well, we probably need to start taking the girls to old folks' homes to volunteer.
Sure.
Once they are able
why don't
to
you
get
sign them
vaccinated.
up to work at hospice, huh?
Yeah.
Scary. I don't, I'm sorry. Listen, and I joke. I just have some very serious problems with
Lots of
embracing
things.
mortality would be a huge one. Old people are walking symbols of mortality, and I need to get past it. And this film, maybe it helped me, maybe it didn't. I'll talk about it at the end of the discussion here. But the film was made for the viewer to feel and experience the plight of the elderly, asking for sympathy and interest to take action.
And I think one of the phrases he used was one of the most wasted natural resources, which I thought was a super interesting take. Don't you think that's an interesting take?
I really do.
So it starts out in a sterile white room with a very sad, bloodied man looking away from the door, despondent. Like, if I were to, he was like past the point of sobbing. He was like just
in shock.
Despondent.
Yeah.
And another guy comes in, like chippers a chicken in a really clean white suit, and tries to talk him into going outside. And it was very sad. What it felt like to me was, you know, I don't know if any of you have experienced this with grandparents, but this whole idea that they get to a point where they really don't want to do things anymore. Like the dialogue that the clean chipper chicken white suit dude was having was like, no, I think it's still worth it to go outside. I'm going to go outside anyway.
You won't like it outside, Kelly.
There's nothing there. There's nothing there. You won't like it out there. There's nothing. And so, I mean, already we've started out with like a very clear allegory of there's nothing in society for old people, right? And so our chipper chicken goes out and over the next hour encounters nothing but awfulness, with the exception of one little girl.
Are we jumping? Quit jumping that far. Why would you jump to the end in one sentence? Jump to the end of the film.
Well, mostly because I don't even know how everybody's an asshole to him.
Okay, well, let's start at the top. He exits the door and enters the world of this amusement park. It's a mixture of normal people and also mobility impaired elderly people who are lined up selling their goods, which a good chunk of those things are clocks. I think that's obviously analogous with time, mortality.
God,
I don't know.
So depressing. Everything about it.
They're not getting much in return for these clocks. They're trying to buy tickets to this amusement park. And
you know, one thing that I noticed right up front, which was interesting, is there's more dialogue today just about diversity of actors.
Oh, that's a good thing to bring
up. And especially in horror.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think they made a big deal out of it in this movie, but it made me sad how noticeable it was to me as a viewer of modern horror. This horror was incredibly diverse. Like, everybody running around the theme park, like old people, young people, it was a much more diverse representation, which, Byron, you were saying it was all volunteer actors.
They were all non-actor volunteers. Yep, absolutely. Right off the bat, just like pure auditory chaos, but we're not hearing words really, which is really interesting. It's almost like when you're playing The Sims and they have that blah, 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 kind of thing.
Which is just unsettling and probably what a lot of elderly people feel, right? Because it's hard to hear things.
About that. How familiar are you with the Safdie brothers, the directorial brother duo? Uncut Gems.
Oh, one of the best movies ever made.
Oh, you've seen Uncut Gems. Wow, okay.
Oh, so good, but reinforced why I fucking hate New York.
Well, yeah, the amount of anxiety.
Nonstop.
And I think
like from the first scene, my blood pressure was like spiked and it didn't go down until the credits were over.
Well, and they do that with their sound design. And I think that this
cognitive dissonance, auditory, real awful.
This film did a great job of almost doing the exact same thing with just constant people talking, but you can't make out what they're saying, and the screaming and the rides and the music. It was just really amazing.
So uncomfortable. Everything but I really do think in this case, unlike Uncut Gems, well, I guess Uncut Gems is probably conveying how impossible it is to hear yourself think in the city of New York. Mm-hmm. Whereas this was conveying how difficult it is to hear anything when you are old.
Well, speaking of senses, let's talk about that eye test scene.
Didn't like it.
Not great.
Want to talk about it.
Elderly couple having to do an eye test, and one of them gets rejected because he can't see, and there's a giant stamp and stamps on a piece of paper, and he no longer
comically giant stamp.
Following that, there's a bumper car crash where all of the blame is placed on the elderly people, even though they didn't do anything wrong.
Funny story.
Yeah.
I look over at Sam during that scene because like 3 years ago, this old woman rear-ended him.
Okay.
At a stop sign, and this was her fault.
Well, yeah.
But I don't know if you remember this, but it deployed the airbags, and both the girls were in the back seat.
I do remember that.
And
the dog was
Sam lost his fucking shit. Yeah.
The dog was in the
Cooper
trunk,
took
or
off.
in the bed of the truck.
Oh my God, it was so fucking bad. But he
Yeah.
got out and screamed at the lady, like, "What the fuck are you doing?" And I just looked at him. I was like, "So this is you?"
Well, I mean,
it wasn't.
I think that all that
in the
is
movie
is
it was
that
not her fault.
He loves his family more than he doesn't like the elderly people.
Right. He actually is very kind to elderly people.
But the interesting thing about this is all of these instances of like real life stereotyping transgressions against elderly people are happening in this world of this amusement park.
Yeah, and it's super weird. Like, did you notice when they're all riding the train and then they get off the train and now it's not like they're in an amusement park? They're all carrying like suitcases and travel bags around. I was so perplexed about what was going on.
What was the wood coffin being taken off of the trolley? What did that represent?
So I think that was just like nobody is paying attention to it, like even when they die, I think was the gist of that.
Yeah, because there's a woman sitting alone on top of the coffin. I wasn't sure if she was like sitting with her husband. Maybe I missed them getting on together and they're getting off with one of them
I
dead.
missed that too, but I bet you're right.
Something like that. And there's just small stuff too, like the lunchtime scene where the young and wealthy are eating lobster and the other people are just eating like a beef stroganoff-y kind of looking mess.
Yep. And then some people aren't eating at all, and he offers his food up to them.
Yeah.
And then it's, oh God, it was everything so bad.
Hey, you made it. Welcome to Good at Parties. My name is Ross. Come on in. No. Keep your shoes on. We're going to be out back. 10-cent tour, so you don't have to ask me ever again. Down the hallway to the right is the bathroom. Over here to the left is the kitchen. Any food, drink you find in there is yours. That's a great question. Why did I call this thing Good at Parties? The past year and a half has been horrible, and now that things are opening up, I'm getting a little nervous that parties are just going to be a place where we talk about the last year and a half. And you don't want that. So I've assembled an amazing group of people that I'm talking to about subjects that they're passionate about. So you can bring up topics and nod your head along to things that maybe you don't know a lot about, but you know enough to enjoy the conversation. You're not going to leave a half a circle because you don't know what's going on. I want to help you be good at parties. And you know what? Actually, I'm looking at these shoes right here. You probably should take those off. I'm just leave them up front. Welcome to Good at Parties.
So bad.
The old man calling over to kids to come talk to him and then being called some kind of degenerate. The physical therapy ride, as someone who's been through physical therapy, I didn't really find that too disturbing. I thought that was kind of nice that we're normalizing physical therapy, but I guess if that's what you have to do to be comfortable as an elderly person, maybe that's just showing that their bodies are breaking down. Was that, I guess, what they're doing there?
Yeah, I think so.
One of the more interesting scenes that I saw was it was a good way to shoehorn a little bit more into the world was the tarot reading crystal magic ball sequence.
Ooh, yeah, because it was like, look at this happy young couple. Well, they're going to fucking be old someday too. And this tarot reader's going to tell them about how awful it's going to be when they get old.
What part of life?
When we get old.
Are you sure?
Yeah, we want to know if we're still going to be together.
Well, there are conditions. You must see it all. Is that agreed?
Yeah.
You must see it all the way to the end.
Sure.
And then the guy comes out of like the tarot reading where he's given this glimpse of his horrific future.
Before we get to that though, like what is the feature? They show it in this weird like news broadcast segment.
I'm Alan Ross with Mr. John Wilson, a landlord here who owns the building. Mr. Wilson, why haven't you made any repairs to this building? It's in deplorable condition.
Well, sir, do you realize the kind of taxes that we have to pay here?
But aren't the conditions here unsafe for the people who pay you rent good money?
Well, actually, the rent that I get is no more than about $10 a week from these people, and with that kind of money, do you expect me to make any more?
White's in such poor condition, and how he should be ashamed of how he's making these people live that way. And he's just an old man trying to do his best, and the rent hardly covers the cost of the building. It's just this really dark moment.
Yep.
And it slowly pans into what one of the residents is dealing with, this old woman who is talking on the payphone to her doctor, trying to figure out what she can do for her husband, who's obviously slipping into dementia. He's having trouble taking care of himself, and she's just trying to get the doctor to come help and take a look.
Oh, hello. Dr. Jones, my husband is so bad. I can't talk to him. He won't answer me. He doesn't take his medicine.
I'd love to talk for a longer period of
You're
time.
You're too busy to come.
Goodbye.
And the doctor's being awful, and then she needs another dime to make another phone call, and nobody will even pay attention.
No
to
one's
give
even
her a
looking at her.
Dime.
Yeah, it was that was really a heavy little moment.
Oh my God, Mister, please, will you give me a dime? I have to make a telephone call.
And that caused the reaction that you were about to talk about.
This couple comes out, and the dude is obviously very distressed about what his future is going to be. He apparently takes this tarot reader very seriously.
Yeah.
And proceeds to just take it out on our poor protagonist, just comes and beats the shit out of him.
Well, he tackled him off of a bench. I think he walked away, and then the biker gang and
then all of a sudden
Reaper
the
showed
amusement
up.
park's empty.
That was freaky.
And it was funny because Sam goes, "Oh, this looks good. An amusement park by yourself, that'd be great." And then the biker gang comes around the corner. I'm like, "Nope."
Nope,
it would not.
He is the kid that would be like, "I want the park to myself," and then have that moment. Well, he would never realize that he's lonely.
No, there would be no reckoning.
Biker shows up. Biker gang. They eventually start circling him, and the Reaper's seen the Grim Reaper. Sorry, pardon me. Specific Reaper, the Grim one.
Real weird mask on that one.
Love it. So scary. Stalking around in the back, and the bikers eventually get off their bike and beat him with brass knuckles, a pipe, and chains, while the Reaper creeps over the shoulder.
Yep.
That was really some unpleasant
I thought
stuff.
that was a statement about death isn't even saving them.
I love it.
Nobody has any empathy. Everybody's fucking awful.
Well, yeah, and that's shown in the next scene when the park fills back up and this now bloodied man is crying on the ground and he's ignored and literally and figuratively looked down on. It's
oh, so grim.
Pretty brutal.
Here's the thing that is interesting for me.
Mm-hmm.
So I watched this last night.
Okay.
And I had gotten in a fight with my mother before watching it.
Not a good time to do that.
No, and it's not like we got in a fight about her being old or something like that, but after, oh God, I felt so awful and disgusting and just wanted to die.
You just want to give them big old hugs or maybe even get them checked out, right?
Oh yeah, I'm always yelling at them to go to the doctor more times.
Well,
just keep going to that doctor.
Sounds like the doctor ride in this amusement park isn't much fun. Again, people just treat you like you're not even there. In this case, ask you to pay cash because insurance requires too much paper. And in the end, you're just given a bandage even though you need more care, and you're just pushed through.
And then you just go sit in a white room by yourself.
We're not quite there because I do want to talk about the scene that you tried to bring up at the beginning.
Yeah, but now I don't think I can talk about it
I think
anymore
you got
because it makes me too sad now.
We rushed through a scene of swindlers, examples of swindlers taking advantage of old people, castle rebuilders, retirement property, which is just looks like a graveyard, new roof people. Yeah, in that scene where you got to watch out for fast talkers and the man robs him blind. Just pretty fucked up.
Oh, so awful.
One of the more obvious ones, the freak show, which is literally just elderly couples behind curtains, as well as an old army vet in a wheelchair. It's rough, but we get almost a glimpse of hope in this man's life when after a parade, almost, we're so close. He goes and sits down next to a young lady who's reading a book, and he offers to read the story to her, which is The Three Little Pigs.
I'm so tired and weary. It's so nice to find such a nice little girl. Oh, what a lovely book. Would you like me to read the story to you? Would you? Oh, I would like to very much. Let's see. Oh, this is The Three Little Pigs.
And she offers him some fried chicken. It's this really kind of nice moment, but there's something kind of sinister about the kid, and I don't know if it's just like me waiting for the shoe to drop. But
I think that's what we were set up to feel, because we've seen so much up to this point that we just expect her to be awful. Well, it just turns out that her mother's awful.
Yeah, in the background, you can hear her mom like giving subtle signs of like it's time to go, peppered in comments, and you can see her packing up the picnic in the background. And as that happens, the old man just gets more and more anxious and desperate to continue this nice moment, like finish the story. He just wants to finish the story.
Just got to the brick place when the big bad wolf knocked at the door and said, little pig, let me come in. And not by the hair of my chimney, chin, chin. I don't
But the mom takes the girl away, and the old man breaks down, and then we're left with this really great shot of fried chicken having been bitten out of, just sitting by itself on the ledge. And then we're back in the White Room.
Ugh. And then I just said to myself, why does Byron make me watch these movies?
It wasn't me again. It was those motherfuckers in the Patreon cult. I mean,
yeah,
group.
I was all jazzed to watch Spiral. You know, I was all excited.
We'll get to it. We might have to. But yeah, this is a weird, pretty incredible film. If you're looking for something that's going to make you unsettled, this is it. But it also has a message. Like, I don't know. You know Twilight Zone more than me. I feel like this...
it's super Twilight Zone-y message.
Very.
I mean, it was a little more artsy than a Twilight Zone.
Yeah.
A little more abstract.
One of these times, the door will open in your life, and you will step into the amusement park full of hope, anticipation for the future, and curiosity for what you will find there. And whether you return to the White Room,
desolate, destroyed, and without any hope for the future, will depend on a number of factors, which, when the time comes, will be beyond your control. In anticipation for that day, consider now that the man in the amusement park is a mirror image of yourself, separated only by the passage of time. Consider taking some positive action while you are young enough to be a positive influence. It should be obvious to all of you that the amusement park need not end in a sterile white room. You can help. If you have been moved to action, there are a number of programs already established which enable concerned persons to offer volunteer services to the elderly. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the park someday.
And you got that was the main actor too, not just the narrator.
Oh, no, I didn't. I guess that doesn't make sense. Wow. Yeah.
It was him.
That's great. He's an incredible actor. I think
yes, indeed.
Did a really great job.
He did.
And you feel like this would have been an acceptable film for the Lutheran Church to put out?
Yes, I do, because it's like yeah, it's super disturbing, but it's not anything other than PG.
But it's content. It's never... There's content in context as well that would make this disqualifying for any sort of...
But I don't get it, because it's exactly the context they were asking for.
It seems slightly... like, when I was in driver's education, I remember watching that Blood on the Highway DVD, which is meant to shock you. I guess maybe this would be like the equivalent of that?
Yeah.
Is that appropriate for... I mean, I don't know. Maybe it is.
I think it is, because it basically is like, you fucking assholes, don't be so mean to old people.
Yeah, but do you think that the church would say, you fucking assholes shouldn't be mean to old people?
I mean, I would say that, but they didn't say that because it was PG.
I think what they were looking for was probably a more straightforward documentary.
Fucking cowards.
Maybe interviews with elderly people talking about how difficult things are for them. Maybe like experts in the healthcare industry or social services having some sort of hand in the production, I guess. But I don't know. I wish the Lutheran Service Society of Western Pennsylvania would have put this out sooner, because I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a pretty incredible piece of filmmaking for a 52-minute PSA about a section of our society.
Yeah. Don't be a dick to old people.
It's just pure anxiety, and it's shot really interestingly in an era that I love within the genre. It certainly doesn't make me excited to grow old. I don't know if I feel like we've come very far in terms of how we treat or view our elders, but and for those reasons, I give the Amusement Park 7.2 pieces of fried chicken.
Oh, God. This movie made me feel lots of feels. I think it's really well done. I still disagree with the whole idea that this was inappropriate for the Lutherans to put out.
All right.
It delivers a very important message, which there's certain things, certain concepts from that period of time that are pretty outdated and that people in today's world can't really relate to. This was kind of the opposite end of the spectrum. It was really unsettling how relevant it felt. I guess especially on the heels of the pandemic and listening to people talk about how nobody really died from it. It wasn't really that dangerous, as though the people that this movie is about don't really matter. Anyhow, definitely worth a watch. Super big bummer. Pair it up with Ghost Story. Bring yourself back up out of that doldrums. And for all of those reasons and more, I give the Amusement Park 8.0 children's stories.
Oh. And those are our thoughts on the Amusement Park, which is available now exclusively on Shudder. So check that out. And once you have, let me know what you think. Let Kelly know too, I guess. On Twitter or Instagram, at Frightday for both of those. You could leave a comment below this episode in the show notes at frightday.com. You could send us an email, contact@frightday.com. Or we could have a conversation about this in our Facebook group, facebook.com/group/frightday, or in our Discord server, discord.frightday.com. Also, if you're interested in supporting the George A. Romero Foundation, go to georgearomerofoundation.org. Click donate. They have a Patreon too. And one of the tiers is a Garf Game Pass, which they have a Patreon-themed trivia night with special guests. So that sounds kind of fun.
Yeah, it does.
If you like our show and want to help us make it even better, grab something spooky at shop.frightday.com. I don't know if, let's say it. The Byron Cereal Corner Store is popping off. I posted some previews in the Discord server of 2 new items. A red Burn Bundy Russell Athletics hoodie, pullover style. It's pretty incredible. Definitely that throwback hoodie you've been looking for. And also a long sleeve that Netflix series Sons of Sam inspired me to make. And check it out later this week. And I have some ideas for new Frightday shirts too, Kelly, that I'd like to pitch to you here.
Well, let's hear it.
Well, not right now. I'll send you
Pitch me.
Well, I'll just send you some pictures. I mean...
Well, that sounds less fun. Whatever.
Well, let me see if I can find it. Fuck, dude. Jesus Christ. Get off my butt.
Yeah, I know. Whatever.
A new t-shirt design that I think Sam would really appreciate.
Ooh. I don't know whether to think that's a good thing or a bad thing.
It's about as close to a Papa Roach shirt.
That's very fun.
All right. Who knows if that's
I
gonna
actually
happen.
think that's spectacular.
You think that's the direction we should go?
Why the hell not?
Is that a coyote in the background?
No, I believe it is just a plain, boring old doggo.
Shop.frightday.com. Support the show. And we may be fueled by Spring Hill Jack Coffee, but it's the members of the Frightday Society who keep us young. I don't know. When you join the Frightday Society at patreon.com/Frightday, you get a whole nother episode every Wednesday. It's Behind the Screams, the show behind the show, of course.
Yes. Yes.
But that's not it. You get bonus episodes of Captain Kelly's Cryptids and Conspiracies, Byron's Serial
Okay,
Corner.
now that's something we can get excited
right.
about.
Relax. Toast to Toast PM with Wine Kelly and Cinema Autopsy. You also get the first 10 episodes of the podcast. Members get early access
I don't know
to
that's really something to get that excited
new
about.
products. Maybe I'll throw up those Byron Serial Corner items up there first as well as access to a members-only online store and 15% off everything at shop.frightday.com. I'd like to welcome and initiate Carla. Carla, you need to become a carny for a year and let us know if what that was like, because I've always been curious. You ever think about running away with the circus? That was something people used to do.
No, but there's a really cute book that I just read with the children.
Okay.
That is part of the storyline in it.
Is it running away and joining the circus?
Well, it's called Of Salt and Shore. Everybody should read it. Carla, strike that last initiation, right? I want you to watch every horror movie that has Carla Gugino in it.
That seems like way more ambitious than running away with the circus and developing a habit of only eating funnel cakes.
And if you really need to minimize it, then I think you can go with just Gerald's Game and both seasons, like Haunting of Hill House and Haunting of Bly Manor. Report back on what her greatest performance was. I have my beliefs. I'm excited to see whether they align with your perspective.
Susie, I need you to steal a watch from an old person.
No!
Trick them.
What's wrong with
Convince
you?
them with your kindness to loosen up, and then while they're loose, take their goods from them, please. Thank you. And
no,
Heather H. Hi, Heather. She's got a great podcast called If You're Listening. I talked about that on the last episode, Behind the Screams.
Yeah.
Welcome. I guess for her initiation, I'm just going to ask everyone else to check out her podcast. That seems reasonable, right?
Sure.
It's not much of an initiation.
I mean, that's
but
like the nicest initiation that anybody's ever been given, but I mean, she sounds pretty nice, so that's fine.
And
I don't mind.
Jared G edited their pledge. Welcome to the inner circle. So thank you, Jared G. And you guys are the best. This being the first of our Monday, Wednesday, Friday release schedule is a shock to me. Kelly just sprung it on me, but that's okay. I'm excited about it. It means that
you are such a freaking weirdo.
Well, I'm just saying I would have preferred some sort of larger announcement or staggered release, but it's okay.
Talked about it already.
I did just once.
Informed everyone about it. Christ.
Well, you got to give people, they've been habitually listening weekly for the past 5-6 years at this point, and now things are changing. So I'm excited. It means
give people some credit. They can adjust.
They can. Everyone's more adaptable than I am.
This is true.
Society members, look forward to Behind the Screams coming out on Wednesday, and Moon June kicks off on Friday.
Well, technically Moon June is well underway.
That's true.
But
actively mooning in June. So
exciting, you guys. I've got some really good stuff this time around.
And we've got a lot of films, great stuff in the hopper to review as well. So I'm very excited for the summer.
I am too.
You're just excited to be on the porch again. But
I am excited to be on the porch. It's really nice out here. I'm going to sit out here and listen to some Russell Brand meditation.
So other than there, where are you going to be until next week, Kelly?
Oh, on Twitter, Kelly Frightday. Email, kelly@frightday.com, which apologies for anybody that tried to email me and it didn't get through. Byron broke my email, but now we fixed it.
I broke your email?
Yep, you did. And
I was the one who fixed it.
Well, yeah, now you fixed it. So it's good.
You broke
undid your problem.
Oh my God. All right, whatever.
I love to hear from all of you. You guys are great. Thanks for everything. I hope your summer's off to a good start. Stay safe.
And I'm at Byron.
Don't listen to Alex Jones.
Yep, guys, don't. It's just always trouble. But he's also so funny. He's just such a hoot. And I'm at Byron McKoy on Twitter and Instagram. Byron@frightday.com is my email address. And until next Frightday, which is actually Friday, where we're going to be talking about bridges on the moon. I'm Byron.
Kelly.
Stay
kind,
compassionate, and stay scared. Ooh, that's what Romero used to say. This one's for him.
Oh, really? Is that where that came from?
Yeah, that's how he used to sign his autographs. Stay scared.
You've been listening to an Audio Wool original, produced by Byron McKoy, theme music provided by Cemeteries. For more programs like this, visit audiowool.co.